Greetings, everyone. This is going to be a video walking us through Hackett chapter 19, sentence number 3 from her exercises on page 120. So we start off, V'haya ka'asher yilachem hagibor. Just going to start off here and break it down bit by bit. V'haya. You recognize that this is a v'katal, but in fact, it's really better to think of this whole initial expression as a fairly common way sentences will begin that give us a frame of time. Hackett discusses these really clearly in section 17.8. It might be worth going back to have a look at that. One of the things she points out is that when we begin v'haya, literally, and it will come to pass, it's letting us know this sentence is going to take place in the future. Sometimes we get a preposition and an infinitive, but another common situation is to get ka'asher, when, and if we start with a v'katal, setting things in the future, we'll probably have a future verb, a prefix verb. We do. There's another thing, before I even break down the rest of those words, I want to go forward to something you can expect with sentences like this. If we start with v'haya, a v'katal, as opposed to a v'yahi, we will also very, very often get a corresponding v'katal. And that's really helpful to know because one of the features of v'katal is that it doesn't have a special form for the conjunction. In this case, the conjunction is u, not v, but that's also just normal. It's because it's before the schwa. So we have a pretty good guess already what tense this verb is, and that helps us parse it. When we have a phrase in English like, when this happens, you can hear yourself waiting for a comma and the second half of the sentence. Here's the second half of the sentence. Also, he will radaf. Not only do you feel yourself waiting for a comma, but in a sense, Hebrew gives us a visual marker of that comma, so to speak. And that is the main accent dividing a verse, the atnach. And if you didn't notice that in the last chapter, have a review in section 18.9. Hackett discusses this atnach, which he's beginning to use in our homework, and you're going to see it in the real Bible. That atnach comes on the accented syllable right before the second half of the sentence. So in a sense, that's almost a visual clue. Imagine with tone of voice, and it came to pass when he was blah, 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 comma, atnach, and then the rest will happen. Back to the beginning. So it will happen ka'asher, and we're really not going to translate these. We're going to go then to the main verb, which we expect to be prefix. Let's break it down. Yilachem. What could that be? I see a 3-letter root, lamed chet mem. That would make the yod the performative. You know what? This looks exactly like a textbook case of our prefix form of a Niphal verb. We have the y as the performative. We have the doubling of the first root letter. And we have the vowel pattern, characteristic of the Niphal. Yilachem. And so our root is lacham, to fight. He will fight, we're looking at. And already we're going to be alerted for something else. For one thing, we might get a subject. We might find out who that he is in the next word. But secondly, part of learning a vocabulary word like lacham, to fight, nilcham, to fight, it's always nifal. To fight against can go with several prepositions like le or b. Here we get a b. So whoever you're fighting is going to be followed by b, fighting against, and we'll come back to that. All right? So, and he will fight. Who will fight? Hagibor, the hero. All right. And the hero, Yilachem Hagibor, the hero will fight. B, against. All right, who's he going to fight against? Oive Yisrael. This is a new vocabulary word, oyev, enemy. Oive is clearly just the plural construct form. You're used to that seriyud. So oivim would be enemies, oive, enemies of, Yisrael, the enemies of Israel. There's our atnak, next half of the sentence. We're already waiting for a v-katal. There's our v. We're looking for a katal, that is a suffix form. It looks like we have one, resh dalet pei, radaf. Right there, that conjugated form means he pursued. But we have something else, don't we? We have a mem. Since we know it's a suffix, and we know our suffix conjugation, none of those forms end with a mem. That mem must be a pronoun suffix. This is am, that is them, the enemies of Israel. He will, radaf, pursue, am, them. So the mighty man, the hero, will fight against the enemies of Israel, and he will radaf them. How far will he radaf them? Ad hayam hagadol, unto the great sea. Okay, hopefully that is helpful. It might remind you of a few places that you want to go back and review. And finally, let's just check with the answer key. I've just become aware that some of you are forgetting that we have an answer key, and we can check and see how do we do. When the warrior, okay, I said hero, when the warrior fights with the enemies of Israel, so far so good, comma, he will pursue them, ad, as far as, unto the great sea. All right, whew, thank goodness we got it right. Good luck with it.